Well, hello again, guys, from here inside Elland Road. Now, I'm going to start this one, unbelievably, talking about football. Now, that is a surprise, given the match that played out there behind us. Yes, a game that was there to be won, but two sides that didn't know how. They could still have been playing there now. I still think the stadium would have emptied, and they wouldn't have scored. Yeah, a stadium here that makes so much noise, it roars, but that was a football match that really did wheeze in terms of quality. Now, there is an Alexander Isak update to come. I will get to that at the very end. But first, let's talk about the game that played out. And I said in my preview video yesterday, I didn't think Newcastle would get beat because I think they've got that resolve there right now. But I was also worried about goals. I said it would be a draw, but I couldn't really see them scoring. What does that tell you? It tells you I thought it was going to be 0-0. What was the score? Again, 0-0. A third match in a row now where Newcastle haven't scored a goal with 11 players on the pitch. And as well as they played at times, now we'll get to this, there was a little bit of debate at half time when I said that Newcastle's mantra of the season was fast becoming play well, don't score, and the replies were they haven't played well. Okay, Eddie Howe said afterwards, and I agree with this, it's been two good/very good performances so far, followed by an average one here today. But certainly, guys, and I'm sat here and you've got a feel for it in the stadium. In the first half there, Newcastle, they were the better team with better players. They were actually playing well. The point I was making was it was there to be won up until certain points of the pitch, well, namely the final third, really. You know, the patterns, some of the partnerships, the processes were there. They didn't play badly. There was a 10-15 minute spell before half time where they were in control, but another match has passed where with 11 men on the pitch, they haven't scored a goal. They've scored twice this season. That was against Liverpool when it was down to 10. I've touched on this in previous videos when chaos ensued. Anthony Gordon went off, dismissed, and the kitchen sink came on, and because of that, Liverpool were 6s and 7s, Newcastle's were 8s and 9s, everything was all over the place. But when it comes to what you'd call an ordinary football match, 11v11, Newcastle are doing okay. The building blocks are there, but then when it comes to the final third, it's almost like the further up the pitch they get, the more they leave behind confidence in belief that they know how to put the ball in the back of the net. And it was the same there again today. It was 0-0, not just the most inevitable scoreline that would play out, especially when Nick Voltemade sat there in the stands. One striker in the stands, and Voltemade wasn't registered in time to play another one. And Alexander Isak sat at home. They didn't need two to win this game. They only needed one of them, and that is the regret for Newcastle coming out of the summer. Yes, there will be relief that they're going to finally on Tuesday leave behind this summer of transfer trauma and turbulence. But with it, guys, they've left behind a bag full of points as well, because with a striker on the pitch, and we'll get to whether Willis Sula merits that description. He did okay here. I'm not going to have a go at Willis Sula too much, but we'll get to him in just a minute. But with a proper proven Premier League striker on the pitch, Newcastle for me would have taken 9, not 2, not the 2 points from which they emerge from the summer. And that's got to be a huge point of frustration for Eddie Howe, players, and you guys as well. And was it no surprise? I said this would be the case. As well as the play that Aston Villa, they then took that into Liverpool, and it was a strange sort of game based on the uniqueness of the situation. But I said after Villa, my worry was that the longer they went, playing well, playing okay, and not scoring goals, the worst the performances then get, and they do. And it did. Newcastle got worse there as the game went on. I thought they were okay in spells in the first half and looked the more likely winners. If they'd taken the lead before half time, it would have been deserved for me. But the second half, I said at the top there, it was a game that was there to be won. It became so stretched and so ragged, almost like a northern derby, if you like, especially played out amid the monsoon. But, you know, for all of the wind and rain, you know, Newcastle were absolutely parched in the final third. And then it looks on 65, 70, 75 as if actually you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. Might this have been the game plan to get to this point and then bring on the two wingers and Harvey Barnes and Anthony Langer? This was the question I asked of Eddie Howe afterwards. Newcastle got worse for the substitutions, not better. He said he'd want to go back and watch it again, but his instinct, his gut, on the back of my question was that he would agree. We've got to talk about Barnes and Elanga. Now, Newcastle started the season with a front three of Gordon, Barnes and Elanga, and we spoke on the eve of the season about how that would be exciting in terms of pace and how dangerous they could be, and it's played out like that at times. again, I come back to that point. Newcastle have played well, but what has let them down has been that cohesion in the final third. Now today, 3 games in, the front 3 have gone. One of them, Gordon, the one who for me has played the best out of the trio, well, he's suspended for 3 matches because of his own doing. The other 2 were dropped today. They weren't rested, they weren't taken out because of knocks, they were dropped to the bench. Let's not dress this up in 2025 language. Let's go back to old school, whenever it was. Yeah, they were benched. And not without merit, really. Harvey Barnes, I was excited for Harvey Barnes coming into the season because I thought he was terribly unlucky 12 months ago to have the good summer that he did. And then when Anthony Gordon came back, he was put straight in the team for the first game of the season. I thought that wasn't the right call, or certainly it was unjust a little on Barnes. Now this season, he started the season in the team. Go on, Harvey, go and show what you can do. I haven't been impressed by him so far this season. That comes back on him. There's a little bit more mitigation with Elanga, given he's a new signing. But Barnes has had that settling in period now. He's had that run of fitness. He finished the season in the team last year. He played from the cup final onwards and he played very well. A great game in the cup final. Go and use that momentum, that feel good, that trust the manager's now got in you. He hasn't. He's played his way out of the side after 2 games, Harvey Barnes. You're not going to put a shine on anything here. He came on when it was there to be won. If absolutely there to be won. Leeds, I'm not going to put a shine on anything. Leeds aren't very good. Leeds will be in around the bottom 3 all season. They've got spirit, they've got a great stadium, they've got noise, yes, absolutely. They fought for second, first balls, third balls, all of those. But they're not that great. They haven't got quality. If they had quality, they might have gone and won it there at the end. But Newcastle, a team who do have quality. Anthony Barnes. I'm merging players here. Again, I was doing this in yesterday's video. Anthony Barnes and Harvey Elanga, well, between the 2 mashups there, they haven't shown enough this season. They didn't when they come on there today. I thought Barnes was disappointing. Too many shots that just went into a man. Too many times he ran down blind alleys. Once when he had the ball on the left there, he lost it in a promising position. I looked at the body language of the coaches. They didn't seem too pleased with that. Elanga. Now, I'm going to talk about Anthony Elanga because, £55 million. Was he going to be an upgrade on Jacob Murphy? Certainly the team sheet in the opening couple of matches suggested he would, but Jacob Murphy's coming there today and he's put in a performance better than Elanga's produced so far. Elanga got away one moment, the 94th minute, and he's cross. But then up in the top tier, not the far post where it should have gone, he's lacked that quality. I've flagged that already, and I don't want to make it about only those 2, because before they came on the pitch, there was already that dearth of quality and cohesion in the final third. But 2 players, nearly £100 million worth combined of winger there, for me, have got to be doing better. They've got to have done better in the previous 2 matches as well. So, yeah, Elanga and Barnes. Now, Elanga, he has been brought in to be that upgrade on Jacob Murphy. So far, he hasn't looked like it. But give him time, absolutely give him time. Only 3 games in. Likewise, Harvey Barnes showed what he can do. But what I'd say back to both of them, not that it's my message that matters, of course, but come on, got to be better than what you've shown so far. William Asula through the middle, first Premier League start for Newcastle. How did he do? Did okay. One chance in the first half there where Jacob Ramsey was very bright. I thought Ramsey was good first half. He went off at half time injured, swollen ankle. I'll have to see how that one is. Pulls it back. Asula does well to work, shot for the space, hits the man in the 6-yard box. He did okay first half. Second half, I didn't think he did. Didn't have enough presence up there. Didn't make the runs in behind at the right time. Newcastle had felt as if the more the game went on, the less they had up front. He did okay first half. Okay, I would give him that. There was one ball that was a little bit frustrating. Tonali's played a lovely little ball, dinked it over the top there. Sula just hasn't read it. He's got there too late. But is he good enough to lead the line? Is that where Newcastle want to be? No, absolutely not. If they bring in the second striker they're absolutely trying for, there's every chance Sula will be sent out on loan. So it shows where the talent pool in terms of attacking options has ran to if Asula is playing the full 90 minutes there. Project player who needs a season out on loan is what I would say in conclusion. Going back into the midfield. Now, what was the formation here today? At times it was 3-4-3, others it felt like 3-5-2. Then at times Dan Burn was in the left back position in the first half, so it depended on whether we were with or without the ball. But the midfield 3 didn't really function. Now, Bruno Guimaraes was unbelievable on Monday night against Liverpool, but I've said this before about him. Sometimes Bruno needs a situation. He puts on the cape at St James's Park and he He rides to the rescue, the White Knight, and he was that on Monday night. But against Aston Villa away and Leeds away, when Newcastle perhaps needed more from him in terms of that captain's performance, he hasn't been very good. Tonali looked like a player who's been fighting to be fit all week. Did okay, Sandro Tonali did fine, but not his imperious best. Out at midfield 3, Jacob Ramsey was undoubtedly the brightest. And they did do, and I'm going to come back to that word, okay/well, medium well if we're talking about stakes, at time, clumsy analogy, it's staying in Partridge. At times in the first half there, it was okay. I know there's a bit of anger at half time from supporters because they ended the first half ragged, but definitely they didn't play poorly. They haven't played poorly all season, barring for me the last 20 minutes really. I would be prepared to commit to poor for that. So another game passes without victory. Another game passes where if they've got that striker on the pitch, namely Alexander Isak, they're probably finishing the first part of the season here, top of the table on maximum 9 points. And Eddie afterwards, he seemed a little bit down with it all. I think he knows that they've left some serious points behind. Did they ever look like scoring there in the second half? Jacob Murphy had one shot from range that was pushed around the post. And if anything, you are worried that Leeds were going to nick something from a set piece or a cross, or they become so stretched and so disjointed the whole game, two teams. So in summary on the football, guys, not at all surprised really the way the narrative played out. If anything, it was a fitting end to this first 3-match section of the season. No striker, no goals really, and never did they really look like scoring. Now, okay, Alexander Isak and Liverpool and Newcastle and strikers, where are we at? Now, Eddie Howe was asked for an update. Afterwards, he said that he didn't have one, but this is my information now, guys. And I know there's been a day of various claims and counter-claims. Now, it was my information coming into the match that talks had not resumed. There'd been no fresh offer from Liverpool, and that dialogue hadn't reopened. There was even suggestions from Merseyside that Liverpool might not even come back with a second offer, that they might be done for incoming business. I don't believe that for a second. Liverpool have not come this far to leave Alexander Isak high and dry, to abandon him now. He's fulfilled his end of the bargain with his behaviour, with his actions, with the course he has chosen to pursue this summer. Liverpool, I would be amazed, absolutely amazed now, based on how far Isak has gone, if they do not now return with an offer, especially not, as I think it would be a deal that would be quite easy to do. Newcastle have committed the money to Nick Voltemada. They haven't spent a club record near £70 million on the Germany striker to then keep Alexander Isak. That is my instinct and my information. Now, will they, if they have to, if Liverpool don't return, or if Liverpool return with an offer of £111 million, will they keep him? Well, yes, they might. There still is that chance. There still is the slim chance Liverpool don't return. But this is how I think it will play out, based on a summer's worth of information and based on what I've heard today. This is a summer-long strategy we're seeing from Liverpool. And for me, they've played it quite well. Now, they set the ball, I was going to say bar, relatively low. 110 million is still a pretty high offer, but they set that at 110 million at the start of August there. That was deliberate, that was a ploy. And they've left it at 110 million in the 3 or 4 weeks since. So when they do return, there's no point in the meantime bidding against themselves. So when they do return, the jumping off point is £110 million. Now, as I said, this is a summer-long strategy. They've also waited for Newcastle to commit money elsewhere, and big money as well. Newcastle are also still pursuing that second striker. Liverpool now will believe that Isak is taking it to a point, the point of no return, perhaps, with Newcastle. That was certainly the mood music during the week on the back of that last-ditch attempt from the owners at Isak's Darris Hall house. Darris Hall. Yeah, was it Darris Hall house? I was right the first time. Was he living in a castle? Yeah, it was a house at Isak's Darris Hall house to persuade him to stay in, to play. That didn't work, so on the back of that, there has been that acceptance internally that it is best to move on. That has been there all summer to a degree. It's why they've pursued those targets. But Liverpool now, having left it at this point, with Newcastle having committed the money elsewhere, they're going to leave as small a window as possible for them in Newcastle to get the deal done. They don't want weeks worth of Newcastle having the opportunity to reject, because Newcastle guys now, I don't think they want to reject. I think they want to draw a line under that. And Liverpool, will know as much. So they will come back, be that tomorrow night or Monday, with an offer, and it could all be wrapped up pretty quickly, because it's got to be wrapped up quickly. And Newcastle will be left with a decision to make, is to do they accept the offer of what we believe will be somewhere in the region of £120 million. Can they push them to 130? Maybe. I've said in videos all summer the idea of 150 being that mark. I've never really thought that to be the case. The longer this window's gone on, I've always thought 130-ish would be the magic number. We'll see where we go on that. But do I expect Liverpool to return? Yes. Do I think Newcastle are open to the sale? Yes. Do I think we'll get a deal? Most likely. But there are still things to happen for this to happen. So that's where we are tonight. And all of this noise around it, that Liverpool might not come back and Newcastle are perfectly happy to reintegrate Alexander Isak, that's just posturing, I think, at this late stage, because it's the standoff. And both clubs want to leave themselves in as strong a position as possible entering the shootout. And that's what we've got in the remaining 48 hours. Okay, guys, so we arrive now at the merit stars. And in ascending order, one is going to go to Jacob Murphy. I thought he did well. He had Newcastle's 2 best efforts on goal, barring the Asula chance I've already mentioned there. And I thought he was bright enough. Listen, I think I give him 6.5 out of 10 in the Mail on Sunday, Daily Mail Sport there. Report, link in the description below the line. But yeah, he was fine. 1 star. 2 star, now you might be a bit surprised at this. I think you'd be your pick is 3 perhaps. But Tino Livramento, he was brilliant in the first half. He really was. But as left wing back, left winger, he looks like an England starter. I know that's what Thomas Tuchel's got planned for him come next summer. That's what he hopes Tino Livramento will be. He was the best player on the pitch in the first half. Didn't offer as much in the second half, especially not then when he come over to the right. Is his best position now on the left, but nonetheless, a good performance. 2 stars. But 3, I'm going to give it to Nick Pope. He made 1 brilliant save, and at times, as the game went on there, just as you thought this could be slipping away from Newcastle and Leeds might just nick something from across, or a ball bouncing around, he came and he claimed everything. And he was calm and he was assured. And it wasn't the 9 out of 10, Pope's heroics, not at all. But when his team needed him, he was there, because much as I said on Monday night, the difference between a draw and a defeat wasn't massive. I thought Newcastle would come away as victors in a strange way from the Liverpool game regardless. There was a huge difference today here to drawing and losing against Leeds. Now, because they didn't, I think Nick Pope deserves a little bit of praise for that. So 3 stars, yeah, the goalkeeper, Nick Pope. Now, that's it for now, guys. I think I've spoken for long enough about a game that probably won't live long in the memory. Let me know your thoughts below the line. Where does the Isak saga, how does that one play out from here? How do you want it to play out? Supporters in the away end made their feelings pretty known with that X-rated chant in the first half. Who do you want to see come in? Wissa and Larson are both still at play. I can't believe I've got this far without mentioning them. Neither played for their club teams today. They both still want to move to Newcastle. We'll have more on that perhaps overnight. Stay logged on across all of my social channels for the latest there. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit like, comment and subscribe. I'll be back at some point in the next 48 hours. I don't know when. I'll be back when there's news, and there's sure to be news soon enough. Okay, good night. Bye-bye.